At the medium-sized newspaper, not a lot happened, even though the editor hired Logansport's two maestros to jumpstart the concept in the newsroom. Meanwhile, the Elizabethtown, Kentucky newspaper was adopting the concept after studying the video and report on the Logansport project. It would go on to win 11 of 16 awards in the newspaper group competition. Why some newspapers succeed with the Maestro concept and why some do not will be the last topic today. For now, here are some definitions and pointers to help you better understand the concept. The Maestro concept is not listed in the dictionary, but if it were, the definitions would look something like this. The Maestro concept, a time management technique designed to provide the maximum time for quality to everyone: reporters, assignment editors, photographers, copy editors, designers, artists, researchers, everyone involved with the story package. The key is time management. 2, a project-based, teamwork-intensive approach to newspapering that requires a rethinking of who does what when in a newsroom. 3, a new approach to newsroom management, organization, and operation that applies W. Edwards Deming's management principles used in manufacturing to the creative process. Deming rebuilt Japan after the Second World War with his theories. These theories, same theories, are applied to the newsroom. 4, a story planning process that brings together all the principal participants in a story package as soon as possible to picture how the story will be presented to readers to answer their most pressing questions quickly. Get everyone together at the beginning of the process for quality rather than rely on inspection at the end of the process for quality. Again, Deming's theory. 5, a method designed to help make reporters, assignment editors, photographers, copy editors, designers, artists, and researchers more efficient, to help make their jobs more enjoyable, and to improve the paper's overall quality for readers. Now, who is the maestro? The maestro can be a senior editor, section editor, or a facilitator who leads a maestro session. That facilitator could be a photo editor, maybe a designer. A maestro session can be defined as so: a 10 to 15 minute work session for the key players involved in a story package to focus the story, to clarify its relevance to readers, and to ensure that questions on the top of a reader's mind are answered quickly on the newspaper page. 2, a story planning session which occurs after preliminary reporting but before writing. It involves drafting headlines, making photo or illustration assignments, sketching layouts, judging story lengths, and setting deadlines for copy. The 3 key steps in a maestro session are: 1, summarize the story in 30 words or less. 2, answer the question, I'm a busy reader, why should I care? 3, brainstorm on what questions would immediately come to a reader's mind about the story. This is the mantra for the maestro in the newsroom. Summarize the story in 30 words or less. I'm a busy reader. Why should I care? What questions would immediately come to a reader's mind about this story? Said time and again to writers. It helps them focus the story, its relevance to readers, and its presentation on the page. Now, what is the story? To a reader, it's many different things all at once. In the newsroom, the definition of story tends to be text. So, to adopt the maestro concept, you need to think like a reader. Seeing a story through the traditional lens, the first paragraph, the beginning of the text. But seeing it through the maestro concept lens, the first paragraph is a photo or illustration. The second paragraph, the headline. The third paragraph, a caption or other display type. And the fourth paragraph is the beginning of the text. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent on eye-track research that shows that when someone looks at a newspaper page, they look at the visual first, then the big type, the headline second, then other display type, captions, pull quotes third, and then the text of the story. So to think like a reader is to also write and edit and design in the order that a reader reads the newspaper. Now, newsrooms hate to talk about theory. and I understand that, so I'll do this very quickly with you. Newsroom management theories. The traditional approach in newsrooms is very much a Henry Ford assembly line, piecemeal way of doing things, in which the reporter builds the chassis, writes the story, and then it moves down the line where a headline's attached. There's photos added to it, inspection with copy editing at the end of the process, and then production and the newspaper. Well, Detroit doesn't make cars like this anymore. Detroit has turned away from the assembly line approach of production to a project-based teamwork approach. Then there is the Maestro, W. Edwards Deming's management principles applied to the creative process. One of Deming's keys is to have a group separate from the production, an innovation group. In the newsroom, it's called the idea group. It meets 10, 15 minutes a week. It's designed to have everyone who wants to join the session brainstorm on story ideas to make sure that the largest possible pool of quality story ideas are available to the newspaper. Traditionally, the domain of story ideas is just the reporter and the assignment editor. Now, once there's a story idea, there has to be preliminary reporting. You know, there's a big difference between a story idea and a story. You need to have a story. Then the coaching begins, the pre-Maestro step. Summarize the story in 30 words or less. I'm a busy reader, why should I care? What questions would immediately come to a reader's mind? When the Maestro is satisfied that the reporter can answer these questions, we go to the Maestro session. There at the Maestro session, there's not just the Maestro, assignment editor, and reporter, but many times for the first time, the photographer, the designer, the copy editor, graphic designer, depending on the size of the newsroom. It's at that Maestro session that we go from the three-step process to sketching on the page. Now, the session lasts just 10 to 15 minutes because there's so much work to be done. The rest of the reporting, all of the writing, all of the design, the photography. After the execution, there's fine-tuning. That's to say that what's sketched in the Maestro session isn't lockstep done into the newspaper. Is there a better photo, one vertical, one horizontal? These decisions are made so that the best presentation is done for the readers, but it's done by that same team. Then the story hits the paper. We hope that the ideas hit the reader's mind quickly. Okay, enough theory. Let's try to Maestro a story. In this example, I'll be the Maestro and the reporter. I need you to be the photographer and designer. Okay? Let's begin. After reporting, but before writing, the reporter joins the Maestro session with the photographer and designer. The Maestro looks sternly at his watch and says, "We've got just 10 minutes." The Maestro asks the reporter, "Summarize the story in 30 words or less." The reporter says, "A world-class music director will be at Central High School in 2 hours to help make the student band look and be more professional." Before the session, after consulting with the staff, the Maestro decided that this would be the centerpiece package on the cover of the community section. The Maestro says to the reporter and the rest of the group, "I'm a busy reader. Why should I care?" The reporter responds, "Well, it's an honor to have a world-class music director in our town. Also, he'll be touching a lot of lives when you think of the students, the teachers, their parents, grandparents, and other family members." The Maestro begins thinking of how the 30-word summary and the answer to the question, "Why should I care?" could be shaped into a headline. Then he asks, what questions would immediately come to a reader's mind about this story? Now everyone gets in the act. Pause the VCR and jot down 3 to 5 questions. Then let's compare notes. Okay, how do your questions compare? Number 1, who is he and why is he here? Number 2, what suggestions did he offer the students? Number 3, what did the students think? Number 4, what exactly did he do at the school and for how long? Number 5, who's paying for all this? I've done this exercise many times, even in different languages, and these questions tend to come up the most. Now you are the designer and photographer. Begin sketching the story package on a page. Think what photos might be shot. When you're done sketching, you should be able to mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your layout to indicate where those questions will be answered. Now pause the VCR again and give it a try. Okay, let's resume. Remember, the goal of the Maestro concept is to answer questions at the top of a reader's mind on the top of the page. Here are some ways you could have done that. Question 1, a mugshot with a quotation. Question 2, a breakout box listing the top 10 suggestions. Question 3, well, it could be thumbnail photos of students with quotes from them. Question 4, a caption under the dominant photo showing him working with the students. Question 5, a caption under the secondary photo. When you start doing Maestro sessions, there's a tendency to come up with too many elements to answer the questions. So let's go through a second draft. Think of how the elements might be combined. For example, could you fold the information in number 5 in with number 4? Easy. Could you take number 1 and 2 and combine them into one art element? Sure, and it could go here, replacing these elements of the photo with the top 10 suggestions. The headline would go here. You get the idea. Also in the Maestro session, we would draft the headline, talk about deadlines and story lengths, and emphasize how the reporter and photographer could help each other achieve the common goals. Now, in this particular Maestro session, the photographer would be working with the reporter at the story to see which students would have the best expressions on their faces and then draw those students for the reporter to interview. That's what I mean about working together. Now, all of this in 10 minutes because we're only creating the first draft of the story's presentation and because we have so much work yet to do. Now, whether the Maestro concept works in a newsroom comes down to 3 basics: leadership's commitment, a master trainer, and attention to detail. Leadership's commitment. The stronger the newsroom leader's commitment to the Maestro concept, the more likely the success. Expect to hear, "It's an interesting idea, but I don't see how we can do it." My favorite editor's response, "We're going to do it. We're just trying to figure out how." A master trainer. Being a maestro is a real skill. Some people pick it up intuitively. Others take more time to develop. You need to have a master trainer to develop maestro talent. As a consultant, what I do most is train the master trainers. Attention to detail. The most progress happens when maestros and Maestro session participants are willing to review what they've done and look for ways to improve the process. This attention to detail and introspection is foreign to a newsroom culture where the premium is on getting the day's paper out the door. One last bit of advice: start small. Focus on one story for one page. Don't worry about how the Maestro concept might work on every story. Find one good story and one good team of people who like the concept, and go for it. Start where your likelihood of success is high and build on that success. Good luck.